Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you're new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to join the community Flat Earth Debate, then go to nathanoakley.com and join the Flat Earth Debate forum there. Most importantly, if you would like to join the discussion, then simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, then please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now, we are joined by Chocolate Saying. How are you doing?
Good morning, good morning.
Good morning, good morning. I left out the plug so I can do them once rather than twice. So, big shout out to everybody who's joined me on Patreon. Massive thank you to all of you. Takes a massive amount of pressure off me, so shout out to everybody. If you did want to support the show and you are watching on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley, then you can smash the super chat. There's also a link to PayPal and Patreon in the link below this video. Just you and I for housekeeping, it seems, Chocolate.
Copy that. Should be pretty quick.
Any signs of curvature?
Nope.
Axial rotation?
Nope.
Scientific evidence of gravity?
Absolutely not.
Any evidence that you can have a gas pressure without a container?
No. Not happening.
Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
Other than a cartoon I've seen in my textbook, no.
Fair enough. Right, distance to the sun. Hey, Sleeping Warrior.
Hey, you got my name right. Only took you about 3 years.
Right.
You've only had that name about 12 months, haven't you?
What?
You've only had Sleeping Warrior as your name for about a year.
I know, but you keep calling me by my real name. It's like, come on, Nathan.
Anyway,
Yeah,
any
you gotta
evidence
go by
the
the
distance to
alter
the
ego.
sun? So close, but yet so far. Any evidence the distance to the sun?
No.
Nope.
Last but not least, the elusive R value. Any evidence of Earth radius?
No.
No. Excellent. That concludes the housekeeping. See Paul in the chat saying, I've got having a problem with the Hangout. If you are, just click refresh on your page and you should get the link.
Have you seen Ranty's latest video?
Didn't know Ranty had made a video. Tell me all about it.
9 minutes of nothing. I don't know how he does it. 9 minutes of... Basically, he went to the beach to see what he could see, because it was a clear day. It is a clear day. It's a fantastic day. And it looks... I've always said that it's... There's no correlation between good weather and good visibility. And Ranty's latest video is exactly that. Fantastic weather today. It's lovely and crisp and fresh, and everything looks good. Honestly, everyone will be out washing the car later because it's that clean and dry and lovely. Ranty goes to the beach, can't even see the turbines at like 12 miles or whatever distance they are, so we can't see nothing. So it's just reasserting the point that just because we get good weather doesn't mean we get good visibility. But he managed to get 9 minutes out of absolutely nothing. So kudos to the guy. I wouldn't have even released the video myself.
Hey, Paul.
Hello, sir. Finally got in.
If you ask Chocolate Saying nicely, I know you're on your phone, aren't you, Chocolate? If I remember, Paul, I'll add you on to Master B Skype chat, and then you get the link before the show goes live.
Say that one more time, I'm sorry.
Once the show's over, I'll add you on Skype to the Master B group chat. Before the show goes live, I stick the link in there.
Well, that'll work. Sounds good. Also, I got a correction I need to make from yesterday.
But presumably you got in through the public link, okay?
Yeah, I got in finally. That's how I got in.
Yeah, you just have to refresh. Once the show actually starts, just click refresh.
Oh, I do got a correction from yesterday. After thinking about it and doing a little bit more looking and research, I think pressure will increase the density. So I kind of made a mistake in my assertion.
Okie dokie. Hello, Mark.
Hello, gentlemen.
Good to have you.
Is my mic working?
What's
Yeah,
up,
it is.
Mark?
Yeah, you sound great.
Everything's well.
You guys hear me better today?
A little bit.
Yeah, man, it sounds good.
Cool.
New headphones.
Nah, yesterday I didn't have the Wi-Fi at my job. Sometimes is a little wonky, so I didn't have a good signal. But today is better, so.
Yeah, clear as crystal. I see what you're saying. Yeah, yesterday we were breaking up a bit, but we got 90%, 80% of what you said.
Cool.
What's new with you, Mark?
Nothing, gentlemen. Just more of the same. I enjoyed your video yesterday, though, Nathan.
Oh, the one on National Geographic.
Yeah, the National Geographic. Yeah, those scoundrels. I think basically your punchline is. I just took a few notes here if I can find it. If you can't test it, then it's for a theory to be scientific, it must be testable. Is that your punchline?
An experiment is a hypothesis test, so absolutely.
No, well, what I wrote down was if for a theory to be scientific, it must be testable.
Yeah, absolutely.
If we can't test it, it's just an observation.
Correct.
And it just open to conclusions. Your own sort of common sense conclusions.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. So because we can see a lighthouse, it's just an observation. It doesn't prove anything.
Not a
Well, it
phenomenon.
doesn't. Well, that's not necessarily true. So, just seeing something is perfectly acceptable to say, I just see that thing. So your boat, for example, on screen for the audience now,
Yeah.
I can just look at it and say, I see that boat. There's no need for scientific validity to just looking at something.
Okay, but this is the flat Earth debate, isn't it? So is there anything flat Earth in that?
Yeah. When we see something like the lighthouse, so Morgord Lighthouse, we see it because it's there. There's no further explanation actually required to just having a look at anything. If it's just there, you just see it. But there's also no requirement for any sort of scientific inquiry. The need for scientific inquiry comes from the globe side of the debate, where they say, well, actually, you don't really see it. What you see is a slightly looming non-standard refraction hyena hologram of the lighthouse. Therefore, it's a phenomena, and we need to science that shit immediately. Well, that's because they always go to science, and the reason they always go to science is because they know that we've been brainwashed into, number one, understanding at a base level that science proves things, and number two, that so long as you say the word science after something on TV or you're wearing a white coat, people will accept that that first base premise holds true and that they have proven something in their assertion. So in the case of National Geographic, they're saying the flat earthers have ignored 2,000 years of empirical scientific evidence, and that's a blatant lie. They have absolutely no scientific evidence whatsoever that we live on a spinning sphere model. That's nonsense, but they assert it because in that statement, it number one makes flat earthers seem like we're unreasonable for ignoring quote-unquote empirical scientific evidence, and furthermore that they actually have what we would at a base level consider to be proof. Hey, Jose.
Hello, hello.
But they don't have proof.
Yeah, it's if somebody's dogmatic, it's not being critical. just because somebody says it or repeats it, no matter how often they repeat it. It's still not critical thinking. And yet that's what people see, or all through their lives they've seen in textbooks, evolution, or that beginning of films and TV programs is a globe. And people have fallen for it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the observation in National Geographic is of a boat going towards the horizon, and the assertion is that the boat starts to disappear bottom first because it's blocked by Earth curve. But then you look at the actual footage, and the horizon's behind the boat. It's an absolute joke.
Oh, it is. It is. Jaron did a very good dismantle of it when it first came out. It's just the people just fall for it. For something to be truly scientific, it has to be falsifiable.
Beatable.
Well, I've been looking at the Karl Popper just recently, the past few days, and trying to get my head around his theories and philosophy. Basically, to be truly scientific, you've got to prove that it's wrong, rather than going out to prove that it's right. And he gave the illustration.
That's not true either. I've got to stop you there. Sorry, Mark. That's not strictly true. So, by falsifiability, all that means is in your formulation of a hypothesis, you'll have two sides to the hypothesis. One is the assumption that you've got the cause right. So that would be your alternative hypothesis. And then there's a null hypothesis. So they are the mirror opposite of each other in the respect that you're saying in the alternative, if this, then definitely that. If this, not that, would be your zero difference or null hypothesis, which is to say that when you do your test, experiment, hypothesis test, you vary your presumed cause and get zero difference, a null result. It means you have confirmed the null hypothesis. Well, that's falsifiability. In other words, you don't go forward not knowing, you go forward having confirmed the zero difference result. But I've heard a few people say, well, science is in the interest of disproving things. It's like, well, no, you're trying to prove that your presumption of the cause is correct. And if you get a null result, zero difference, you've shown no difference. You've varied your independent variable, you've manipulated your what you think is the cause, and sod all happens. You get zero difference or a null result. But that doesn't, you know, people often use null results as like they're proving something. It's like, well, no, it proves you got zero difference. You didn't confirm your hypothesis. Now, that can be useful if your hypothesis is that bloody Earth's turning. You know, obviously that's going to get used against you if you get a zero difference. In other words, you don't demonstrate the Earth's turning. But as far as science is concerned, they're setting out to prove the cause of an effect, as opposed to disprove anything. But the falsifiability is just having a null and an alternative hypothesis.
Popper gave the illustration of swans. He says your hypothesis is that all swans are white. And to go out and prove that, all you see around you is white swans. And so therefore, your conclusion is correct, but there's a bias there. What you should really be doing is going out to look for swans that are non-white. And once you find one, or you've got to imagine that there could possibly be no swans that are black.
But that's not that's not a scientific hypothesis, though. That's you know, calling it a hypothesis if you're talking in terms of science, and you have, because you've said this guy's a philosopher talking about science, but that's not a hypothesis. Colloquially, you can call anything a hypothesis, but scientifically,
my point is that, well, he's making the point of a confirmation bias that if you don't look for the opposite, or you called it the null hypothesis, then you're being led by possibly and most likely a confirmation bias. So you've got to look. You've got to make your hypothesis false before you can draw a conclusion that it's actually true.
Well, in terms of logic and reason, absolutely, yes, but that's not scientific hypothesis. You're right, when you're just looking at a lighthouse, you can use logic and reason to its fullest extent to reach a conclusion about what you're looking at. Now, logic and reason would lead you to, if you don't know exactly the pinpoint location of what's on screen right now, the lighthouse, seek out other information to bring logic and reason to your conclusion. And it still doesn't require any scientific validity whatsoever, i.e. it doesn't require, at least in the scientific terminology, a hypothesis. Because a hypothesis in scientific terms is very, very specific in terms of what it is. It's a scientific prediction. So when people use the word hypothesis and they're talking, it doesn't matter if they generally mean something to be science-y or scientific of any extent, as soon as you use the word hypothesis, it means a scientific prediction. And as soon as you say, well, looking at how many white pigeons or non-white pigeons you have, well, you're not establishing the cause of an effect in that instance. You're using logical extrapolation. Nothing wrong with that. It's just not scientific.
But science and philosophy are inextricably linked, though, aren't they?
No.
No.
Science has its roots in philosophy. The empirical method was developed through philosophical means. That does not mean that the scientific method itself has roots in philosophy. It's not looking for a philosophical outcome, it's looking for an empirical outcome, despite the fact that it has its roots in philosophy. It was developed through philosophers. That doesn't make it philosophical in nature, it's empirical in nature.
Nathan, you're making too much sense, but Riley said there's no science for flat earth, so...
Riley's wrong. Riley often says logic and reason can't be used. He's wrong. Sorry, Anthony.
Let's just put that, what I do say, into context, Jose. When I say there is no science for flat earth, that doesn't mean that flat earth is therefore ridiculous. What I mean by that is all the science, the money, the funding, the support, the equipment, the resources, the technology, the people, the time, the effort, all that gets ploughed into a heliocentric piece of bullshit. So when I say there's no science for a flat earth, what I mean is we have no science. We have a P900 and a compass. So don't get the context mixed up with what I say and what I mean. I'm saying that it's massively against us, and we're all candles in the wind, individual candles in the wind, and we're trying to light up the whole earth, and that's all we're doing.
I understand. Right now, the consensus, the majority of the people believe we live in a globe, like we were taught in school. Now, this flat earth debate, Nathan, you got a good point. You got 1 out of 2 parts down. You're trying to disprove the accepted model, in quotes, you know, because it's the globe, like most of the people by the consensus believe in. So you got this part broken down where you're trying to disprove the globe. Now, the second part is missing. I think that's the part that people is looking for. Hold on, really quick. Get an explanation for everything, create a model, present it, get to the process of the peer review, etc., until it get accepted by everybody and consensus.
Jose, you've taken it just slightly to one side. When I said that science and philosophy are inextricably linked, Riley immediately says, no, it's not. And then Nathan says, well, it's maybe somewhere in the middle.
No, he didn't. He said, no, it's not as well.
But then he says it has its roots in philosophy.
Yeah, rooted in doesn't mean it's inextricably linked. What you're trying to imply is that science can be philosophical, and it can't. Philosophy is not evidence of proof or causation, whereas the scientific method proves the cause of
I'll do a bit of research on that. I'm not going to debate that point with you, because I at the moment I'm under the opinion that they are inextricably linked. So I'll come back to you on that.
That's perhaps because, well, let's not speculate for the cause, but I can tell you exactly the reason why you think that.
Well, no, don't speculate. Let me do a bit of research and come back to you on it, and I might accept your point, or I might have an argument to maybe.
I think you'll find the answer to your quest is found in the definition of what the scientific method is. Type in pseudoscience into Google, see what pseudoscience is and what it contrasts with. Then you'll see that.
Hold on. I don't want you to bias Mark. I'll tell you why, Anthony. I'm really sorry to cut you off. I know you're trying to be helpful, and you are being. And I'm glad you said it, because the audience gets that. But in terms of what Mark's the road that Mark's gonna now toddle along is an interesting one, and I'm hoping he'll do it unaided, on account of the fact that he will start to hopefully unveil some of the reasoning behind why we have this misapprehension that maybe science has philosophical outcomes when it performs the method, or that it's not proving things, which we hear all the time. And you know, I want that convolution to be exposed. I don't know why or how they've come to dilute the two, other than what I have experienced in school personally. They tell you what the scientific method is, and then tell you you've got a molten iron core in the same bloody classroom.
Nathan, you're very quick, and we're all very quick to point out logical fallacies. Now, logical fallacies has its roots in philosophy, and it is philosophy.
No, it doesn't. Logical fallacy has its roots in logic.
Oh, hold on.
Wait,
what did you say?
can I
Logic
say
has
something?
its roots in philosophy. Is that what you said?
No, we're all quick to point out logical fallacies. And logical fallacies is philosophy, and it comes right from Aristotle. Didn't he?
Isn't otherwise it would be called philosophical fallacies?
Just because something comes from something else doesn't mean that it is the same. It is like saying that the tree that feeds off the dirt it is sitting in is dirt. It's not.
Nathan, would you accept that when you refer to logical fallacies, you're actually taking the person to philosophy?
Absolutely. I didn't quite understand why Anthony disagreed with that.
What I was going to say...
No, that's bullshit. You're not taking people to philosophy when you're disagreeing with a logical fallacy. You're taking them to logical fallacies. Otherwise, it would be called philosophical fallacies. Let's not mix up stories with logic, because logic is the reason for why we have disagreements, right? Logically, it doesn't follow that this, therefore that. But that doesn't mean philosophically it doesn't follow. Philosophically speaking, you can make up any story you want and be philosophical. It's a lovely story. Who cares?
Move on to the next.
Can I say something? Can I say something? I think philosophy can help you think about your ideas and understandings. And I mean, I think the logic is a piece of philosophy. I don't think it's the sum total of it, but I think it's a piece of it because it helps you think and understand how things are, why things are. You evaluate it. Like a good scientist should be also a good philosopher because they got to build your arguments.
Hey, Haunted.
So I think you can't separate them in any way. I think they're linked.
Well said.
I agree with that. A good scientist will have...
Hey, Anthony.
Hey, good scientist will have his basis in philosophy. I agree. But you'll never find a good philosopher being a good scientist.
Hey, can I interrupt you guys for just a second here? I just wanted to see if I could do 2 streams at once. I had a nice 15 people watching until you started your debate up, Nathan. Now I have 9. So I decided to come on your show and steal back the viewers.
I see. Fair enough.
Or at least Issa is in the chat, so maybe he'll come on my thing. Anyhow, I wanted to say, Anthony, you did that was I listened to one of your chats the other day with Quantum, and you guys did some great, just volleying back and forth. He's got to like relax a little bit because there was one. He's
that highly strung. He's got a broom up his ass. That's how bad John is at times.
Yeah, because there was something that someone brought up, and I really wanted to go in depth a little bit. Like I get, you know, he shouldn't be so apt to like step on a fly. It's like when people bring up the gravity thing, it's like, yeah, we all know it's theoretical. Let's see what we can get out of it, though. You know, and there's nothing you can get out of the idea of gravity, but what was lost in the moment was what are we actually talking about? Like, what are we? It became a proof contest. In other words, like the other guy didn't know what to say, and then Quantum was just like, you know, wailing on him about gravity and the process and independent variables and all that stuff. But I wanted to say you guys were doing some good work. Poor Wiggins.
I think the overall picture is that whatever person that you're talking to at the time will have his own perception of what he accepts to be the right answer for the proof, the evidence, the supporting documentation, or the support, whatever proofs that you consider to be strong. And it's a case of, if it is really a pissing contest, who's got the strongest evidence. But what I find personally is that ball earthers tend to accept anything when it comes from an authoritative position. Flat earthers tend to dismiss anything that comes from an authoritative position. And that's the default position. But really, sometimes there is evidence that's credible on both sides. It's a case of individually coming to the conclusion of what you think is the strongest. And I don't think there's any strong evidence for a sphere, but I accept that a lot of people do think there's evidence for a sphere. And I see our role really is pointing out the flaws in the perception of strong evidence for the sphere, because arguing it really doesn't really help us, because it becomes red v blue, and who cares what color it is, right? But the point is that we all have our own quest to see what is the truth. And if we can come to the conclusion of what's the strongest evidence out there, and we realize that strongest evidence is not actually that strong, it's just perceived to be strong because of popular consensus, then what are we left with? And that's the bit that ballers don't like letting go of.
Well, to add, I have a NASA book that's actually like $50 online, brand new. It's called The History of NASA, America's Voyage to the Stars. And there's a photograph in it where it shows the outline of the Earth. And you know how when we watch the high altitude balloon footage, it kind of like goes convex, concave, and it warps in and out. It seems to me like they just threw this book haphazardly, or someone didn't pick up on this one. And it's basically a shot of satellite floating in midair, right? Satellite in space, and the curvature of the Earth flattens out at one point. It's sort of like, if, let me turn my camera on if you guys want to, you know, present
the haunted house show. I knew it.
You guys see that photo? Are you guys?
Yeah, we see.
Oh, you see? Okay. So right here, it's flat. It loses the curvature. So this is, I mean, this is in print. It looks okay. It's like right here. Can you see how the curve sort of loses its curvature? Goes a little flat right here. Right here.
A little bit, not by much, but it does slightly still look a little curved.
Yeah, it's just a fake picture though, isn't it? It's taken from a fake region.
And it's hard to tell because of either the page is curved or camera or something.
The page is flat. The page is flat. I thought maybe it was like the way they blew it up. It somehow got lost and it got like warped in the print process or something like that.
Or it might just be perspective.
No, it's a photograph that doesn't show full curvature. Because I mean, what I wanted to do was take this photo and copy it so I could take the curve and follow it all the way around. In other words,
you got nothing on the house. That's garbage.
What's garbage?
Whatever you present.
You don't see the flat spot?
You think you got a gold nugget and you got garbage.
I didn't say I had a gold nugget.
Ooh, you put 10 pence in you, Jose.
Well, that garbage is coming from NASA, though, isn't it?
I agree. It's coming from a fake region.
It's a book anyway.
It's from a fake place.
Right. It's a book, but it's, you even understand what it's showing? It's showing us that it's not properly curved in the photograph. That the photograph is supposed to be showing the curvature of the Earth. Like, why would they show that a picture of a curved Earth? Because that just goes along with everything else that they show us. But when you look at it, it flattens out. It flattens out, man. I mean, I would have to get, to match that curve, I'd have to get something, I don't know, maybe 2 feet, circular.
You can hunt the house all excited. He think he's gonna go viral with the photo, like with the book.
I think it's simple perspective, to be honest. That's what, even on a smaller scale, you would expect when taking a photo of a sphere that has a certain curve.
I'll say it again, it seems like everyone's just ignoring me. The picture, regardless of whether or not you want to take it as flat or sphere-proof, has come from a fake place that cannot possibly exist. So ipso facto, the picture is fake.
Here's a So Nathan, how do you feel about low Earth orbit? How high do you think it's possible to go?
Orbit, really?
Or yeah, low Earth orbit, whatever you want.
There is no low Earth orbit.
Low Earth altitude, whatever they call it. You know what I mean?
You mean how high can they go?
Right. Do you think they can get past 25 miles?
I doubt it. I think they could probably get up to, what, 100, 125,000 feet?
It comes straight back down. It comes straight back down, though, doesn't it? Because the air gets that thin. Well, I don't know how they can stay up there. They might be able to like catapult up there and come straight back down, but I don't think they can stay up there that easily.
The vast majority of the movie called The Right Stuff covers what was formerly what NASA was before it was NASA, and all of them are true test pilots. You know, the people that were truly heartbroken were the people that didn't get picked from, you know, the flyboys, the pilots that were test pilots doing dangerous work at high altitudes, and they obviously thought, well, we're the ones that are going to go up into whatever is beyond where we can currently go. And some of them were, you know, I remember, I think it was the Tommy Lee Jones characters trying to go higher and higher and higher, and eventually, as Anthony just described, he gets to a point and there's just not enough air to give him lift. So he just slips down, that's it, that's the end of how high he can go. The engine, again, same principle, there's not enough oxygen in the air, so the engine stalls. So there's just a point that the airplanes just couldn't go beyond, and that's basically as high as they could go. Yeah, they've got some better planes now, so they've got planes with absolutely ginormous wings. So, you know, you don't need as much air to be passing over them to create the lift needed, but you need pretty big wings to do it.
I was trying
that was Chuck Yeager. Chuck Yeager, who's broken the sound barrier. And Operation Manhigh, that was the U.S. Air Force. Those guys who did the tests to see how high a human being exposed to the environment, exposed to the open air, could how high they could go. Yeah. And they got to 108,000 feet. It was Joseph Kettinger.
Yeah,
that's why his name.
Yeah, that's why I said about 120. I think you could push the envelope, basically. That's how they described it in the right stuff. You did actually say his actual name. I just said the Tommy Lee Jones character because I can't remember its name, but you know what I'm talking about. You did say his name.
Sam Shepard, yeah.
Right. Well, these guys are the true pioneers. You know, a lot of people criticise the right stuff and say it was boring. Well,
it's a great movie.
I thought it was a good movie. I really enjoyed it because they were talking about pushing the envelope, actually really pushing the limits of what you could do in reality. None of this bollocks with rockets that just disappear out of view. None of that shit. You know, they were actually testing the limits of what we could achieve. As soon as NASA comes along, that's all locked down and we're just given nothing but bullshit pictures from a fake medium, like you presented in your book, which is why I get touchy about it. It's like, I'm going to shut down those sorts of stuff regardless of who's presenting it, because if a flat earther comes along and says, well, look, this picture proves my point, because it's like, this picture doesn't prove your point any more than it proves the globehead's point. It's a fake picture. No ifs, buts, or maybes. It's from a fake region.
Yeah, it's from a PR firm, in other words, which is something no one can outdo NASA with when it comes to PR.
Well, Dilly Gill describes NASA as being on the cutting edge of cinematography. In other words, ahead of the game, ahead of Hollywood, with lenses, with cinematography in general, you know, filming techniques. NASA are right on the cutting edge, because that's what they are. You know, Matt Powland describes them as the biggest art house in history. Now, these descriptions are accurate. That's what they do. They produce artwork and video.
Yep, futurism, like none other.
And I think that's why that's the reason why their CGI that they present us is so bad, because they can be so good at it, but they just choose not to. They make it bad, I think, purposely.
You know, Plato said the truth was a matter of how accurately something describes or falsifies it.
Subject to the current knowledge.
That's my cue. I made a point earlier and I got like ignored, and I want to say what's your feedback on what I say, which is truth. I'll tell you my point again. I think what Flat Earth is missing is a concise, unified explanation on everything on Earth as a system. By that I mean Earth where we stand on some moon and stars at least, and bring it to the consensus,
let me
review and get accepted.
Do you remember when I said that Flat Earth's got no science?
I didn't hear it. So he's saying nobody addressed this. I'm going to repeat it because it's important, and everyone talks over him before he's got to the end of the actual point. Just repeat.
Yeah, I think Flat Earth should come to a agreement on a concrete and solid explanation for Earth as a system. By that I mean Earth where we stand on sun, moon, and stars at least. We have Flat Earth has to come up with a model on how everything works, presented and have a peer review, therefore can be accepted. And
how do you expect we do that with no money, no resources, no science, no technology, no nothing? How do you expect us to do that? It's like trying to walk with no legs.
I think one of the most important key points is come to a conclusion on unified on how it works, because it's
right.
just
We've got no legs to walk,
all over the
Jose.
place.
How what works?
We have no legs to walk, Jose. How do you expect us to run like that?
Well, first you have to take the walk in your mind.
It's not necessary, though. It's not necessary.
Oh, really?
A
You're just gonna do
a unified
something?
model.
Hold on, I agree with Haunted, and I just want to hear Jose's response to Anthony's question, which Arwin answered before I just address a couple of things, if you don't mind. Jose, so do you want to ask your question again, Anthony?
Ask me again, Riley. Sorry.
I said, how do you expect us to run when we've got no legs to even walk?
Well, communication is one of the keys in here. I know Flutter is being suppressed by YouTube and the media, the social media and shit like that. Somehow, everybody have to come in together with a unified explanation for all the phenomena.
Everybody coming together is not the minimum expectation, right? We need some technology. The most we've got to P900, dude. We need.
It's not censoring us.
Yeah, we need more than just people coming together.
Hold on.
But there are a lot of experts.
It just sounds like you're asking for for us to come to another consensus. That's exactly what we're trying to avoid.
I completely agree.
Exactly.
That was Jonathan's point.
We want to find things out, empirically. We don't want to come to another agreement or consensus. That's where we just came from, bro.
Aren't there a lot of experts, experts in like pilots and militaries and whatever, PhDs and shit that know and are aware of Flutter, and those people have access to technology and money, so it can be done somehow.
Hold on, guys.
That might be true.
Hold on 1 second, Chocolate.
I'm sorry.
Hi, Eric. How you doing?
Hi.
Good to have you. Could I just get 1 point in? Sorry, Chocolate. Jose, it seems that you're actually revealing your motivations in your questioning and your requests. So what you're saying is you would hope, in order to believe in Flat Earth personally, that the consensus and general populace agreed also. That would satisfy your requirements, correct?
You know what? In part, yes. I gotta keep it real, and in part, yes. But I've seen too much all over the place, and broken pieces of the puzzle is just too all over the place. I mean, it's...
Can I say something, Nathan?
Do you not think that the broken pieces of the puzzle are an issue for you, though? Oh, sorry, you're going to puzzle. Sorry, go on, John.
Before you answer that, Jose, I was just going to say, this is about people empowering themselves, finally being able to empower themselves, and it's bringing forth everyone's personal worldview and stating how important it is, that it's not insignificant, that it's significant how you view the world. Just look at how people react to Flat Earth. People need to step forward and understand that they're allowed to question science. They're allowed to question experts, because everyone's wrong at some point. Nobody's perfect. And,
I agree with that.
And the more people step out and empower themselves and question things, the more answers we're going to get. And the proof is really like proof and truth is really just the man's stamping this man's stamp of approval. If I say 2 + 2 is 5, to me, that's 2 + 2 is 5. That's the truth. What's important is just being honest with yourself. If people could come to grips with that, being honest with themselves, you realize how much more powerful honesty is than truth.
That's not what I agree, but that's not what Jose's saying. Jose's saying, I'm more concerned that everybody agrees.
Yeah.
Well, I agree with you on everyone should ask the experts if you don't agree with them. But do you think that the experts have an obligation of giving an answer to someone?
Not necessarily.
I don't think so either. I think the experts have the right to just not give an answer to people who don't understand.
What's the criteria?
So if an expert is not required to answer a question, why is he an expert? What the hell is he doing?
Sounds more like a priest in that case.
What qualifies an expert to be an expert?
Hold on, Alwyn, can you just repeat that?
Well, an expert could be synonymous for a priest in this case.
Pretty good.
That's exactly what it is.
So can you repeat it one more time? I didn't catch that.
He said he's basically saying, Zinda, if they're not open to criticism or questioning, then they're a priest.
Yeah, obviously they can like when someone criticizes them, they can say, all right, it's not a problem, but they don't have to answer you questions about things you don't understand, including myself.
But they're trusted authorities. They are the reason why they make what makes them experts is their authoritative knowledge. Okay, they're the authority. They're the person we revert to when they can't tell us the truth. And this goes for our quote unquote leaders. They have to go. I'm personally not going to devote my life to fighting that on that scale, but I will fight it in the workplace. And I think that's where it starts.
I don't really understand why we're in a position where we are giving this power that we are discussing in the most open way to a position of authority. So whether or not a authority figure disseminates their information to you and how they disseminate it flies in the face of what we've just been talking about for the last 5 minutes. You know, our journey of discovery, my not giving two shits what the consensus or the authorities think. I don't care if the authorities don't want to disseminate their information or they're disseminating the incorrect information. I know what the real information is through my own journey of discovery, and that is extremely empowering. Do I care at this point what Brian Cox tells the masses? Nope. I don't watch TV or care what Brian Cox is telling people. If individuals want to worship at the altar of Brian Cox, I'm not going to go and tell him his information's wrong. You want to worship Brian Cox? Give your power to the authorities? Pfft, more power to you. If you want to say in that instance that you don't want to question the priests, more power to you. Do what you like. Everyone's a free man. Me? Sod you priests. I don't care what you say. Oh, what's that you say? We live on a model? No, we don't. Well, that's me and my power to say, no, you're wrong. And I don't care if you believe me.
I have a question for you when you're done. Do you consider 100%. yourself a flat earth expert?
Who? Me?
Yeah.
No, I'm an expert in nothing.
Do you see the difference between you and most other, like the flat earth consensus?
Not really. I don't pay that much attention to the flat earth consensus these days through lack of time, but maybe you can fill me in.
Well, you obviously have a drive for this, and you care enough to get, you know, emotional at times about this. And it comes down to, it seems to me like, if I psychoanalyze for a second, it seems to me like it's your plight or fight is against just the mere stupidity of people, and I have issues with that too, how people just can't really get things, or it's just they're being obstinate, like in your face obstinance, and their refusal to see the truth and how things work, and how, you know, the barrier, you can't have a vacuum without a barrier. They understand that, but they just won't give into it, and they need to realize they're making a choice to believe the earth to be a sphere. They're choosing their worldview. They're not living with what's self-evident, and how all of that sphere nonsense is unnecessary and no one would ever suspect. You could say the earth spins and make a case for it, but why would you do that? Where does that get us? So I invite all, and I know I can see it in the eyes.
I want to answer these rhetorical questions. They get thrown out there and you know the answer, but the audience may not. So where does that get us? Well, it gets us to the position where we hand over our power to positions of authority. That is where it gets us. Well, what does that mean? It means that they have power over you. That's the bottom line. So if you're going to hand over your power, yeah, you tell me what it is. What's that you say? We live on a model? Okay. What's that you say? I'm not allowed to question that? Okay. Well, then you're giving over your power. It's as simple as that.
Who says you aren't allowed to question it?
You said what? Sorry, Zindo, I didn't catch that.
Who says that you aren't allowed to question the globe Earth?
Zinder, how many Globers come in here every day and tell us that exact same thing?
That you aren't allowed to question.
You're being serious right now?
I remember my girlfriend saying,
how dare we challenge thousands of years of science, Zinder?
Well, you've got specific examples, Anthony. I was just going to go to you. So you have done exactly that in recent days by official letter. What was the response? Science knows best, right?
I don't know. Where are you going with this? I'm not joining the dots.
The Secretary of State for Education in the UK.
So Yeah, so I wrote to the Secretary of State and I asked him a couple of questions, and basically the answer that I got back was the Secretary of State sees no reason to question any part of the heliocentric model, because it said something like it was almost like saying the whole body of science. Didn't quite use that phraseology, but it was along them lines. In other words, science says so. That was basically the response I got.
Oh yeah, but you were allowed to question it. They just didn't get any interest.
I wasn't allowed to question it. That's the point.
No,
they said
what they were saying, Zinder, was don't question the priests.
And just to say something about the priests, does anyone else feel like the biblical side of this is undermining all the work we've done?
I think that the minute you open the doors to any form of the religions, it's always going to end up in war.
Yes, it does, because it's no better or worse than what we have currently. What we have currently is a religion. Heliocentricity is a religion. It is taught to children as fact. It's not. It is a religious faith. Now, if you start teaching a different...
has nothing to do with it.
Say again, Jose?
Nothing to do with religion in one side or another. Flat Earth is about science, not religion.
Sorry, Jose. Do you have proof of the R value?
I don't. I'm a
right,
YouTuber.
so you just have a faith in it then? Just a belief then? Not proof, but faith, correct?
No, not faith.
Sorry, I'll ask again. This doesn't seem to be sinking in. Cognitive dissonance, maybe. Do you have proof of the R value, Jose?
No. Somebody already has done it.
Don't carry on talking. I just need you to say no for me to then reassert that you just believe Earth has a radius and is spherical. That's a belief because you have no proof.
I don't have R value, no.
You're muttering, Jose. I need a nice yes, Nathan. That's correct. I just believe it. That's what I need from you, Jose. You can dig around it all you like. Yes, Nathan.
I don't have any evidence of the R value now.
Yeah, I don't need that bit. I've got that bit. I need you to say yes. I just believe.
I choose to believe the consensus.
Yeah, that'll do. Don't need any other word salad. Thank you. You choose to believe. That makes it a bloody religion, Jose. You don't have to like it.
Nathan, hang on one second. You know, I respect the fact that at least he's willing to admit that he. You believe the Earth is a sphere, Jose? Do you believe it because of your own knowledge?
Yes.
Okay. Okay,
and then it has to be disproved from the inside out.
Hang on. You see what the problem is, though. Hold on a second. He says, I believe it.
Chocolate, one second. This is important here. If he believes it based on what he believes to be facts, it doesn't matter whether or not he's right or wrong. He's not. He's at least not, or his experiments. It's when we start to believe things because of it's dogma is another facet of religion. Dogma. People just accepting things is the end of our society. It's the end of civilization. People just accepting things because it's consensus. And if you believe the Earth to be a sphere, then you really don't care, you know. And I invite all the sphere people, all the globe Earth people that come to these debates. There's a reason why they're here. It's because they're questioning, but they just haven't come to terms with it. And that there's no such thing as a globe or a globe. We're all just people living on Earth with a worldview that conflicts. If it really
I agree with everything you say,
then people got to check their priorities, because at the end of the day, you can't survive on just flat Earth. You got to take something away from it and get on with your life, man. You got to get on with your life. You got to understand you have critical thinking powers now. Apply them to what's in front of you. Don't let your boss fuck you over. Don't take shit from people that you now know are full of shit. That's what you take away from this. These are the learning lessons I've come away with when it comes to flat Earth. I'm not so gullible. I'm not so quick to believe someone just because they're a police officer, just because they're a person in a suit or a lab coat. I feel so much more empowered than I used to feel. However, I do understand when I consider myself an expert with, I don't know, sound, audio, okay? Live sound, sure. If someone wants to like record something, or they think like the Yeti mic is better than is a professional microphone, as an expert, I'll tell them, I'll laugh at that. And I think a lot of people,
where are you going with this, man? Come on, keep it short. I want to give you a little bit of word salad after all that 5 minutes you get. I need 1 minute.
What do we come away with when it comes at the end of the day? What do you walk away with? Frustration, or are you empowered? Have you learned something from flat Earth, from this whole questioning, this whole whatever you want to call it, this movement. People need to ask themselves that. That's what I'm saying. I'm not really asking a question. I'm just making a point that it's important, or we're stuck in a fucking echo chamber that never ends, and it becomes rote. People will now learn the Earth is flat. Why? Because it's been shoved down their throat.
Long-winded.
Okie dokie. So, Jose, you have no proof of R. It's just a belief. Correct?
Yes.
Thanks for having me on, Nathan. Peace out. Go easy on Jose. He doesn't know any better. See you later, guys.
Take care. Yeah, so
I don't need your advice on this. Thank you.
That makes it a religion, Jose. Something you just believe in.
Yeah, if you can give me like 30 seconds. I hate the yes/no answers. I need like.
Yeah, they're a bitch, aren't they, Jose?
I would like to make a comment on this. I think, we were talking about experts earlier. What if the problem I think most people do, we give our expertise over to someone else instead of us ourselves becoming the expert. I used to have this comment all the time as a Christian. They used to ask me, where have I studied? They're assuming that I did all my theological study in some kind of school somewhere. And really it's not. It's just me reading book after book after book after book, reading the Bible itself. And in a way, I became my own expert. That's why I can question things even on that side of things. I think the same thing goes true within what we're talking about here. The problem is we trust someone else to be the expert. And I think that's what Nathan has been hammering at people. If you believe someone and you don't know the information is correct or not, you have faith and trust that they're supposedly done the work for you. And then it becomes, in that sense, a religion. It's a blind faith.
What I want to say is, after coming to the flat Earth neighborhood and learning a little bit on the flat Earth, now I choose to go back to the globe side, where most of the people agrees with it, right? And then, because you guys can refute all the points against the globe, you can destroy the globe scientifically or philosophically, however you want. What I need and what many people need is then an alternative explanation of the flat Earth, because I know you're going to jump on me, because you say you don't need another Just So story to cover a Just So story, because I know the answer. But
Jose, do you not understand?
Hold on, I'm almost done. But then many people want an alternative explanation, because that, from my point of view, I see it as a denial. You just deny the globe, but don't want to give me an alternative. Go ahead.
Well, that's apparently because you will not accept that it's just not known, and that we're still in the workings of trying to figure it out, which is really the only way to ever actually find out. Because going with the Just So story halts it all. Keeps you in that conception, in that dream, whatever it may be.
And the other thing is, we've got no evidence of curvature. We've got no evidence of vacuum without a container. You can believe the globe if you want, but those are big hurdles to overcome. We don't have all the details worked out, but those are some big hurdles to overcome.
There's always going to be two different people. There's going to be a person that comes to this and goes, "Oh my God, we don't know anything. I need an answer. Have you got an answer, Mark Sargent? What do you mean you haven't got an answer? Then you're a shill, evil scumbag who's ruined my life because you haven't got an answer. I need that answer." Well, that's one person. Me, I go, "You mean we don't know why the sky's blue? Really? That's fantastic. So I could be the one to figure that out then, potentially. What? We don't know what the sun is. Wow, that's amazing. So we could probably figure that out if we tried hard enough. That's interesting. What about other stuff that we don't know? So suddenly the world's your oyster. The world becomes a marvellous, beautiful place full of discoveries waiting to happen. Well, if you want to undo every bit of
100%.
If you want to undo every bit of that magic and go, nah, I'd rather a position of authority, a priest, a new priest. We need a new priest. Okay, off you go. Go looking for a priest. Don't demand that society bends to their whims just because they've got the same priesthood. Well, if you want back into that particular cult, off you go, man. In our you trust. Go in peace. Radius Dominus Gravitas Spiritus Sanctus. Go in peace, Jose. In our you trust.
But Mark Sargent has answers for everything. If I write him down 200 questions about the heliocentric model, any question whatsoever, he got answers for everything. Boom.
So what? What's your point?
Oh, I don't know. I just wanted to mention that it's funny to listen to Mark Sargent giving his theoretical fantasy explanations.
All right, he's very trained in trying to give the best and most sensible answer that he can think of to any question. Doesn't mean that he actually has the answer to the question specifically every single time. He just has an answer to give.
And if you think he has every answer, then that's your problem. That's your craziness, because nobody has all the answers. So
but that's what
be
Jose
in
wants.
search for somebody to give you, to put on a silver plate all the answers for you, and you can just say, "Ah, thank you so much." That's crazy.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're saying. They're saying the Globeheads would say, "I've got Neil deGrasse Tyson, and I've got all these astronauts. I've got absolutely top-notch priests. What's your priest like? Mark Sargent? Oh, that's not a very good priest. Oh, I don't think I'll be changing my church anytime soon." Oh, right. Well, I don't have a church. If you think you're part of my church, you're wrong. I'm definitely not a leader. But if you want to be part of the heliocentric church and you don't want my information, well, it seems that there's a lot of people out there that would rather stop me poisoning their consensus, Jose. Saying, what are you doing polluting the other 95% of people that believe as I do? That's what we get. It's like, well, live and let live. If you want to believe in the globe, off you go. In our you trust. If I want to say, that's a load of old nonsense, let's laugh at it, that's my right too, right? It is nonsense. There's no proof for it. It's just a religion. I can poke fun at that all day long. Poke, poke, poke.
Yeah,
no, but it is funny. It is funny when somebody new come in and they say they've been pointed to Mark Sargent attention. They say, "Hey, go check on the flat earth clues and the Mark Sargent." And they listen to a couple podcasts. They say, "This is bullshit. Let me find something else." They come to this flat earth debate. They listen a little bit, and then they go to one of your links. They go to a quantum eraser presentation or an interaction with another baller, and then they hear quantum eraser treating the ballers as crayon munchers and give me space ball religion and fuck with, that's tough too. They say like, what the hell is going on? What are we getting ourselves into? It's wrong.
Yeah, but the alternative is you can go and speak to somebody like Phil Nye, the physics guy, I think his name is, and he'll tell you that light bends in all sorts of wonderful shapes that basically conform to a sphere, but light doesn't do that. So it depends on whether you want to take John's approach, which is cut the throat out and spit down the windpipe, or whether you want to take Phil Nye's, the science guy's approach, and blatantly piss lies down your face and smile while he does it behind the facade of physics. Conspiracy cats is another one. So what would you rather? Would you rather have somebody rip your heart out and stamp it on the floor and stamp on it if it's bullshit, or would you rather someone tell you a convenient lie? What would you rather, Jose?
No. I see by myself. I do my own observations and I come to my conclusion. I look at the skies, I look at the movement, I look at my footage, and I say it has to be spherical just because I think so. I believe so. That's it. Just my own conclusion on my own.
Did you get a chance to watch what I showed yesterday or the day before?
Yeah, I watched it. Interesting. Thank you for taking time to doing it.
Hey, Warren.
But what's your take on it though? Did you think about it logically, all the measurements and
yes I analyzed it and I saw it, but I still go with my just first approach, which is the blink test. I gotta take a control image, which is Google Earth image, and put it next to whatever the footage I take, and that's it. It's missing more than half.
You understand that compression is a thing, right?
Guys, can you mute if you're not talking? Somebody's causing loads of feedback. So if you're not talking, can you just pop yourselves on mute?
In part, compression is a thing, but for compression to be the cause of this obstruction, it doesn't add up, because I only see 2 stripes, and then the compression should be in one little part, hiding 4 stripes on the lighthouse. It just doesn't happen.
But you're entitled to believe what you believe. You're entitled to believe it, mate. If you believe that that's caused by the curve of the Earth, in our you trust, that's fine. But then I would ask the question, well, why would you come back to it if you accept that it's a ball? Why would you come back here? What would be the point?
I'm fascinated by this subject. I still want to learn. I know there's something in here, and I know the globe needs more. I don't know. Flat Earth and the globe needs more. I want to be here. I want to learn more. Even if I agree or disagree, I still listen and I learn, and I like this subject.
I wanted to touch on something you guys were talking about, like consensus and wanting. Jose, you're talking about wanting a complete explanation of everything. Like, I think one of the problems we have is that's where the root of the problem is that everybody wants an explanation, and so the scientific community has to explain everything. They want to be able to have an answer for everything. And so in the first place, all this stuff, so much of it is based on assumptions. And so they work off of that and come up with these ideas about how things work. And so it all looks internally consistent, but it doesn't match the reality. And
correct.
And so that's my take on it.
So with that, I'm actually going to say farewell to our live audience watching on Flat Earth Debate channel. A massive, huge, enormous thank you to all of you, hopefully for sharing the show and obviously for tuning in. Also a massive thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible. If you're watching this on either Nathan Oakley or Nathan Oakley 1980 streams, then stay tuned, as there will be a shortish after show after this. And again, if you're in the Flat Earth Debate live stream, then stay tuned, as there will be a second show to follow. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com to keep up to date with the community Flat Earth Debate. Go to nathanoakley.com and visit the forum there. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Because we don't have a problem with people flip-flopping going back to the globe. It's when they go back to the globe and then they start doing what people complained about in the first place, people going onto other people's channels and trolling all the time. And then you started doing that, and I thought, oh my God, another troller.
No, I was giving my opinion, and I was shut down. I wasn't given a chance.
You weren't really. You were being quite vitriolic, Jose. Let's be fair.
I was coming in hard, but come on, we still need some people still need to hear whatever, you know. I don't want to be heard, but I want, at least if he asking for somebody to talk and give whatever, I was going to talk and give him something, an explanation or something, you know, my take, and he didn't want to hear. Oh well, screw him.
Here I got a topic for discussion that's still related, but I wonder why is it most people can't handle mystery or unsolved answers? Like, what is it about people that they struggle with?
My ball away.
Well, no, it's not just that specifically. I mean, but just in general, because
it was taken away at a young age, and they're used to having all the answers. Because when you're very young, many have to overcome fear of not knowing it all. Learn to come to terms with that. And if you have wise parents, then they'll help you learn that. So if you're used to having the answers in many areas all your life, and suddenly you don't have them anymore, yeah, you're like an addict. Like, no, I need the answers. I learn to live with the answers.
But the globe has a foundation. Either works or not. Either if it's just so story or not. It has
What's the foundation based in then?
Whatever. It's a rotating sphere with the sun and the moon and the stars very far away. Whatever it is, you know, right?
So that foundation that you believe, you accept, right?
Yeah, and then there are mysteries, and I want to see the mysteries, but having a base, have a foundation, and I want to discover the mysteries. Now, if I'm in the flatter side, we have to build the foundation and discover the mysteries. I want to have a foundation. If the flatter come with a more solid foundation than the globe, then we got something, and then we discover the mysteries. Right now, the globe has a foundation,
solid foundation, and I want to when it's got zero evidence to prove its points.
That's a contradiction in terms, by the way, Jose. You can't discover mystery.
Oh, discover whatever secrets and whatever.
But then they wouldn't be secrets, right? So what we're doing, Jose, is demolishing the current religion. And you're saying, no, you're not allowed to demolish the current religion unless you've got something better to offer. Now, I can just say, nah, What I'm going to do, Jose, is I'm going to take my trousers down and do a big fat steaming shit on the heliocentric religion, then walk away laughing. And when they go, you can't do that, you need to provide me with jewels and gems and answers, and I can go, nah, I'm just going to take a dump on your religion and laugh at it, because it's nonsense, and then provide you with nothing. And what are you going to do? You're going to sue me for taking away your religion? No. Are you going to get angry with me? Probably. And do you know what I'm going to do? Walk away laughing at the big steaming dump I've left behind. Because I don't care anymore about that steaming pile of crap. It's a steaming pile of crap that I've just left on your religion. Now, you don't have to like that. And you can demand that I provide you something better. But I'm not going to. And there's nothing anybody can do about that. I'm not, as Anthony would put it, science in quotation marks, telling people what's what. But I can rip that shit to pieces and leave people in tears going, I've got no answers. Oh, well, me, I think that's wonderful. You, tough luck. I owe you nothing. Neither does Flat Earth. It's just the way it's just the place we live. It doesn't owe you an explanation for anything, Jose. Sorry.
Tell you who does owe you something though, Jose. The government, for taking everybody's taxes off them for years, paying for something that's bullshit.
I hate that. Yeah,
that's what should piss you off.
Yes, it does. I feel you, Nathan. I know where you're coming from. Thank you for that. Thank you for being you, bro. For real.
I have a possible answer for, I think, who was it, Paul, who asked about why are we not able to deal with uncertainty? There are principles in psychology known as Gestalt psychology. I think it comes from Germany, but I think it's kind of rooted in our actually just psychology, and we make whole pictures out of broken up images. I mean, if you think of it metaphorically, we make reality out of incomplete information. So just kind of automatically we make sense of things even though we don't have all the information. It doesn't mean that we are seeing what it is in reality, but we kind of do it automatically, where we just come to an understanding of what we're seeing based on the limited information we have. Just one possible angle.
Jose, do you not think that the government owes you something for the time that your mum and dad and your mum and dad's dad spent paying in taxes into a system that's based on what you consider to be good foundations, but we all laugh at? Does that not worry you?
Yeah, I really didn't say good foundations. I just say foundations.
You did say that they were good foundations.
Yeah,
that's
maybe
why
I say
you up on that phrase, because you did say that they were good foundations, and I'm thinking not bloody good.
Okay, I'm gonna change my stand. There are foundations? They can be good or bad. They could be broken or fictitious or real, but there are foundations.
What if the foundations are based on deception and deceit, though, Jose? Is that not an issue?
Well, then I have to find the real foundation, which I haven't found yet. I have found disproving the old foundation, but I haven't found a foundation built that can be built.
There it is. There it is. That's your issue. That's your problem. Oh, I'm sorry. Did we take away your religion? Oh, that's a shame. Oh, I'm sorry, Jose. Now you, as you rightly put, have got to go out and find your foundation. Yeah, that's your journey that I'm not going to help you with. Sorry, got to be cruel to be kind.
I know, I feel you. Thank you.
Well, now you flip-flopped, perhaps you can go back and hold Soundly's hand and take Pontus Rain properly, like you said you're going to do the first time.
Oh, I'm going to go in this next couple of days. I'm going to go take footage myself, and I have never met Soundly ever in my life.
No, but you said you were going to meet Soundly, and he's going to show you where he took the picture from, and then you went along and took a completely different picture from a different view.
Yeah. I got all the coordinates now. Hopefully, I can make at least closer observations than what he did. But yeah, I'm not gonna meet him. He's not gonna stop for like 5 minutes, which is the footage I'm gonna take. I'm in a rush,
Well, at least when you take it, you can ask him, how did you actually fake the curvature so I can do it as well? And then you'll know that it's bullshit, won't you?
No, I'm going to take footage. That's my take. I'm going to find a spot. I'm going to take footage to see if I catch it or not. I'm not going to try to fake anything. That's not my take, bro. And these guys, all of you know, I'm not trying to fake anything. I'll just take footage,
Well, I didn't trust you right at the beginning when you took the Soundly reenactment. There's nothing like it. But you might prove me wrong.
Yeah, but I didn't fake it. I just shoot and record it, and it came out like that. It's not that I faked it, you know, or I cherry pick. I just shoot the footage, and it comes like that, you know.
And did you get for curvature?
Did I get what?
Did you get curvature?
Last time it was bad weather, different camera, and no, it was not. It was inconclusive. It was a lot of
camera that wasn't modified in any way, right?
Yeah.
What's interesting is you've got Soundly's camera that gets bendy water, right? You've got Jerenism's camera that doesn't get bendy water. It'd be interesting to see what Jeren's camera gets that Soundly's gets, because I bet you they're not the same.
Well, most probably on Saturday afternoon or Sunday night. On Sunday, you're gonna have the answer because I'm gonna be in Concentrate taking new footage. So it's 2 or 3 days. We're gonna have the answer.
And if you don't get any curvature, you coming back to the flat earth, are you?
Not really. I'm in here.
You've got your foundations, haven't you? I forgot. Sorry.
Yeah. But I really want to take footage. I want to see this by myself with a P900 at least. If it's cloudy, if I don't get to see too far, at least I want to get more, better footage than last time. Oh, I'm ready. Lock and loaded. Battery is going to be fully charged. I got 264 gigabytes. The freaking SD cards to shoot everything on my way there.
Cool.
Happy Valentine's to Karen B in the chat. I was asleep yesterday.
We can do some more shout outs on the next show, but I think I'm probably going to round out this show here. So I'm going to say a massive, huge, enormous thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you in the Nathan Oakley and Nathan Oakley 1980 audiences for tuning in and hopefully sharing this debate. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com to keep up to date with the community Flat Earth debate by visiting the nathanoakley.com Flat Earth forum. Once again, I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!